us. Okay, so we have been gardening this week. I don't know if you guys have been gardening at home, but is it recording, Tim?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we've been gardening this week, and one of the things that we have been doing is, with our neighbours who are awesome, is taking down our fence, which has been falling down and getting a bit decrepit in all the storms and everything anyway, between our house and the next door house. And one of the things that's been holding the fence up is ivy, and it's basically grown and it's taken over the entire, or it was taking over the entire fence, and then it was climbing from the fence onto the trees. And you can see in this picture the ivy all around the tree trunk, but also on the fence behind. And when we took the fence down, and it meant we could get to the other side of the tree. So before that, we could clear the ivy off the front of the tree, but we couldn't get round the back. And it was actually a really nice picture for me, because while we're in lockdown, we can feel a bit trapped in our bubble, and our world comes in and it feels like maybe actually there's fences put around us. But one of the things this showed me was that actually this is a real it's actually a time where the fences are coming down. And I was reading in 2 Timothy, and it says, but God's truth stands firm like a foundation stone, with this inscription: the Lord knows those who are his, and all who belong to the Lord must turn away from evil. And one of the other things that God's been talking to me this week is about habits. And actually, when we're stuck in our homes, it's really easy for us to continue with our bad habits at home, because we no longer have time outside with other people, or the structure of doing other things outside, which means that can help us to not carry out our bad habits, whether it's the way we talk, whether it's the way we react to things, or even just just little tiny things which are not necessarily awful things in themselves, but just maybe the way we spend time, or the way we use our free time, or use our brain even. And we can, when we have our day-to-day life outside of the house, it's kind of like that fence. So we can make the front of us look good, and we can hide the back of us with our daily life. So the ivy on that tree is still there behind it, because the fence is hiding it, and we just pick things off the front. And actually, in this time, we've got a chance to, without the structure of the fence to hide half of us, we've got a chance to look at ourselves and to pick off those bad habits and things. And one of the things that that I have been struggling with is the way I react to my children. And have to keep pulling myself up, because I'm quite good at going ugh, or just not being as positive with them, and I have a tendency to snap before I think, or I've been struggling with doing the right thing at the right time. And I think actually this is giving me an opportunity to look at how I behave all round, not just when I'm outward. So in the next verse it says, if you keep yourself pure, you'll be a special utensil for honourable use. Your life will be clean, and you'll be ready for the master to use you for every good work. Gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts, and they will learn the truth. Then they will come to their senses and escape from the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants. And that last sentence, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants, is quite a strong sentence. But actually we were, before we believed in Jesus, and before we were walking in him and had him, we were in him and him in us, we were trapped, actually, and held captive by him. And we can be, and we still are sometimes, because we have the ivy, and that's what the picture of the ivy was for me on the tree, is that it always grows back if we don't remove it. And this is a picture of my tree. It's not a very good picture because I had to zoom in and it was dark when I wanted to take another one. But as you can see, we managed to get all the ivy off. And if I give you a 360 around the tree, there's no ivy on the back either. And we still need to take out some of the roots of the ivy. But there's this verse in Galatians says, Christ has set us free to live a free life. So take your stand and never again let anyone put a harness of slavery on you. And that really just concreted in this picture. It might seem like a bit of a random picture to have this tree with the ivy, but I think this is a time where it would be so easy for us to be in our own houses and to let the ivy grow back, and to gradually kind of entwine around our ankles and just gradually creep in, whereas actually it's a really good opportunity to remember that Christ has set us free. We do have a free life, and now's a good time to be listening and preparing for what God has for us. If we're in that verse in Timothy, it says if we're ready, then we will be used when the master needs us, and we'll be ready. So yeah, just it's encouraging to think that Christ has set us free, but also to not waste this opportunity to look at what he's set us free from, and to make the most of keeping free, if that makes sense. So I fully intend to not let the ivy grow back on my tree. So if we I'll pray, and then if you want to pray, you can unmute. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, it's a bit of a random picture. But yeah, so let's have a few minutes to just pray and thank God that we are free, and that he'll show us the things that we can work on at the moment while we've got maybe a bit more opportunity.